All right. Hey, this is Jesse with High Performance Earthworks. I'm up here checking out a site visit and evaluation up here on Ski Road in Allenspark, Colorado. This property is for Chris, and just walking in here off of the road, off the access road. It looks like I'm in the right spot. The driveway comes to this rock outcropping, which I'm gonna suggest we go around to this in between the rock and the adjacent property boundary. And then I'm seeing we're kind of passing by the aspen right here. You can see the aspen there behind me, but there is a corridor opened up. There might be a couple of trees that we're gonna want to take out and a little bit of grading. Looks like there is a gate here, so I'm gonna say, okay, it looks like the driveway is gonna actually come along kind of through these low-lying trees and then kind of curve up there to the right a little bit as it goes around the rocks, and then there's a nice corridor coming out. So then we have this small gate here. We're gonna come through everything. Looks like it's been graded out. This tree on the left maybe is gonna want to go. This little tree here, limb this one up, probably take this tree out, both of these two guys. And then they want a 16-foot corridor, basically, of devegetated corridor. So these three, probably 4 or 5 trees are all encroaching, and to meet the specs of Boulder County, we would recommend removing those. I'd like to leave this one if we can, and this one and these two would want to go. Obviously all the little guys in the road would get graded out, and so now we'll kind of keep coming up the road here. But you know, you could try to get away with this and see if Boulder County will let you keep these, but it's a risk. They might tell you have to take them down, and then cost a little more money just to remobilize. Or however, I mean, wouldn't be a big deal. Actually, I don't think it would really cost any more money to kind of come back and remove those and see if we can get away with it. But Boulder County, I always like to save trees if we can. I'd recommend taking out this front one here. It's kind of mangled and ugly going up, leaning into the road. And then that one there on the left, the root system is right there in the roadway. Probably want to take that one out too, and the limbs are gonna be reaching into the roadway, and probably the next one too. So yeah, that's my recommendation. And these ones here and here, and I believe I'm getting into the bottom of the driveway. This existing driveway is a major benefit. Probably consider taking out this one. It's reaching up and over, hanging on into the roadway. This one here on the right, this one here on the left. Recommend removal. Recommend taking out this little guy here. I think the big guy can stay. This one we'd want to limit up at the very least. So there's some tree work involved there. And maybe if you limb up that tree, I think you could probably keep it. This one is right on the edge. Consider taking that one out. You could probably get away with leaving it. A little bit of limbing action right there. This one hanging, or just kind of creeping into the roadway and leaning in. Probably take that one out. This one, I think we want to take this one out here as well. So it's a handful of trees. Looks like we have potentially a wellhead here. Yeah, looks like a well. So we're gonna just assume that that's the well. And now I think I'm getting to the end of the existing driveway and looking down the way. This is a gorgeous property. Wow, beautiful. Great driveway in. This property is a score. And it goes all the way back there. Looks like we have a nice big open area where it's proposed to build. And you got great gravity. Looks like you have soil, so you can really shape and contour this whole hillside to your heart's content. the gradual slope means that you don't have too much rock in there. We're highly likely to have a good digging situation here. Good, gotta put my glove on, really good bearing soil. And we got plenty of gravity elevation change so we can have a lower cost septic system. Do a pressure dosing siphon. So we can use pressure dosing technology, which is the newest technology for septics. It's a great technology, and you can do that and achieve that with gravity, which is ancient technology, as we all know. There's the neighbors over there. So if we get down into here, you got gorgeous views up there. You're kind of protected from the wind, and you are harvesting as much sunlight as possible. And this is a fantastic property. And Chris, really well done finding this thing. And I think you've scored probably one of the best little spots in Boulder County. And as far as ease of development, so on and so forth, you have an existing driveway. You got great views, you got good southern exposure, you got some great supply of firewood here. There's already some down big dry cured trees. We can help you with cleaning those up if you like. And yeah, I think this is an excellent property. Building location over here out in this meadow. And from the end of that graded driveway, I see you have on your map to hang a hard right and kind of come along the contour here and gradually kind of come down, follow the ridgeline. And you could stay just this side of the ridgeline if you want, and you can kind of keep your driveway out of the view of your neighbors. But there's so many trees there, I don't know if you need to worry about that. Putting it right on the ridgeline is actually going to benefit you, because you will use the wind to keep your driveway clear. So anytime you can kind of expose your driveway to the wind, the better, because you don't want to be in an eddy where it's going to fill in with drifts. You want to be where it's going to get blasted and scoured by the wind, and it's going to clear your snow for you. So you're going to come down this way, I believe, and then you could turn and kind of come in to your house over into here. You could create your parking over in there somewhere and reserve all this big area for living space, hangout zone. I always like to kind of keep the cars away from the central core of the house and the property and the living area, but that's totally up to you. You might want to have a garage. Haven't looked at or talked to you about your building ideas yet. So yeah, just depending on how you get all this laid out, you are gonna have a setback from the creek. That's gonna be a 50-foot setback from your leach field. So we're gonna have to come up from the creek 50 feet, and then that's where your leach field will go. And then we want essentially 6 feet of elevation change. Actually, probably closer to 8 to 10 feet of elevation change on the ground before we disturb it, between where your leach field's gonna go and where your tanks are gonna go. So we're gonna basically get up here. You wanna essentially kind of keep your building site up higher on this meadow as much as you can, just in order to make sure we have enough room to come up 50 feet from the creek, and then have roughly 10 feet of elevation change as we're coming up the hill for our tank location. And then your tank location wants to be downhill of your house. So that's gonna, somewhat limit where you want to put your house within this grassy meadow. If you want to take advantage of gravity for your septic system, you can do an electrical pressure dosing system if you want to snug your house and your tank and everything right down here at the 50-foot setback mark from that creek. So if you do want to move down on this in this meadow, you can do that, but it may just cost you a little bit more on your septic. But if you kind of stay up here towards the top, you're harvesting your views and your sunlight. You got a nice big open area down below you for a front yard, assuming you're going to be looking out this way. And then you're also minimizing the amount of slope on your driveway by keeping your house up high, so you don't have to drop down this hillside as much with your driveway. So yeah, that's my recommendation. This is a great hillside you can get creative with. You could do gardens, you could do rainwater catchment, and have some great terraces and tiers down in this lower area. You could do some earthworks, basically some contouring and berms, to where you're doing natural stormwater harvesting on this hillside as you're coming down, because you do have great southern exposure. You have an ample amount of topsoil that's going to be here that you can see kind of creeping through in the weeds and the grasses that are poking through the snow. So you're going to have, we could essentially scrape this entire hillside here, round up and kind of reshape it all, because we're going to be working it all anyway for the septic and for the foundation. So we could, once we could scrape all the topsoil aside, and once we're done and putting it all back together for our final grading, we can do contour lines in berms going across this hillside and this slope. And what that's going to do is concentrate your water from your storm water, and you can also irrigate and harvest water off your rooftop, and you can have a really fantastic growing area on this hillside down below your house. And you can kind of integrate that into your leach field a bit. There's footnotes on that, if we can talk about that later, if you are going to go that route. So yeah, I think that's about it. Hey, Chris, I was just making you a video. All right, so I'm up here with Chris, and we were just chatting, and I want to put Chris in touch with Kate Manwaring, who works with Dave Banks. And Dave Banks is the engineer for Trail Ridge Engineering that Angie put Chris in touch with. So Chris is looking at the possibility of doing the building site up here. And we do have some rock outcroppings up here. The wellhead is up here. We have a flat spot up here that's already existing, and the driveway comes all the way up into here. So there are some advantages of building up here as opposed to down in here, which is where I was noting earlier, Chris, as kind of the way I was interpreting the documents that you sent over. I had the building location down in there, kind of at the top of that meadow, and the driveway turning and kind of going and maybe doing a big horseshoe turn to get into a potential garage or something down in there.
Which it certainly could. I mean, yeah, is there any limit? I mean,
so we're up here at the top now, and we're basically, this is the portion where we will be crossing the neighbor's property, and there's a conversation with the neighbor, basically following my track out, and taking out that one tree is all we would have to take out on this neighboring property in order to get a 16-foot corridor through there and come right up this way, and then turn around and up towards the road. The dog and the truck are up there, and we already have an opening, so we would only need to lose one tree by my assessment in order to achieve the driveway, and that would meet Boulder County specs. And yeah, so that's a good thing. And welcome to the mountains, Chris.
That's right. Just gotta get the dog.
Yeah, a nice big one who doesn't mind the cold.
A friend of mine has a 20-year-old husky, and the dog insists on going outside.